Hey, sister friend Tamika, how are you?
Hey, hey girl.
I'm so excited to get to hang out with you today and catch up. To be honest, we've been girlfriends and worked together for a long time now. And if we have time to tell those stories, we'll get into it. But life has gotten hectic, and I know we haven't had a chance to actually talk other than as we do online.
Yes.
So if I had to reach out to you and say, come on, let's schedule an appointment to have a conversation and then let's record it and let other people listen to it.
Isn't that a trip? Like how our lives get so busy, but you are truly, gosh, I think it's been like 4 or 5 years. I was trying to remember and I'm like, I remember first meeting you and I'm like, yep, she's dope. I will be working with her. She
Aw.
will be a friend.
You're so sweet. You've always been an awesome supporter of me, and I love it. And you have taken everything that I've taught you and that you've learned from other people, and you just continue to put it out there every day, the amazing work that you're doing in your community and your circles and your children's lives. So before we get going down into all those stories, because a lot of the people listening in may or may not know you, I want to just share with them a little bit about your story, your bio, and then we'll just see where the conversation takes us.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So here we go. So Tamika Michelle is a young single mother of three that wears many hats. I know we can all relate to that. She is a transparent author, life coach, inspirational speaker, and mentor to many. She strives to live her life authentically with an open heart, showing love to everybody that crosses her path. As a young child, she was sexually and physically abused. She turned to unhealthy relationships, attempting to feel the love she didn't receive as a child. The breaking point was two unsuccessful marriages, a suicide attempt, and so much stress that it caused her to have a stroke. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I want to go into that deeper. So from there, she made the leap of faith to no longer use her life's hurts and tragedies as crutches to cripple her, but instead using them as stairs to get her to her next level. God has been her constant, and He is the head of her life and the reason she is who she is. Today, she lives her life to empower. She believes that God has called her to be a bridge over troubled water, helping to connect others to her source inside. She travels speaking at schools, churches, women's events, and domestic violence shelters. She is dedicated and determined to showing others how they too can turn their trials into treasures. Boom. So beautiful. Oh my God. I love that. I just want to tell you, I love that bio for you, knowing you for many years and knowing the work that you've done to find your purpose and really step into your own story and own it and put it out there in such a important and impactful way. Just reading that introduction, I feel like you pulled all the pieces together and it's all there. There's so much and so many ways we can go with all of that. But good Lord. So that's amazing. So tell me, what's been up with you? Let's start there. What's alive for you right now?
Goodness. So I mean, I think my biggest like happy point in my life, I'm so blessed. I have my kids and they're amazing and they've always been the light of my world. But I am actually finally, it's new, but I'm in a healthy relationship and I'm super,
Yay!
super, yes. It's been a long time coming, from the divorces. I've been technically single for 5 years. I had a live-in boyfriend for about a year, and it turned out to be not what it should have been or what it could have been, but I took time. I was one woman that would jump into relationship after relationship, but I took a break. And I did my work. I did, as Ayana Van Zant would say, I did the work. So
Mhm.
I figured out, what was within me to attract these unhealthy men and unhealthy relationships. So I took about a 2-3 year break and I was just grinding, doing my thing. And literally out of nowhere, he inboxed me on Facebook and the rest is history.
Good old Facebook, another love
Yes,
match. So awesome. Well, I'm sure you get inboxed on Facebook from a lot of guys. So I
I
want to I
do.
want to go back to this part of what you were just saying about, like, you did the work and you were looking at what part of you or parts of your story were making you attract, the type of relationships that you were having. Can you break that down a little bit more?
Yeah, so I realized like I was constantly, as my bio talks about, lots of sexual abuse as in my childhood, physical abuse, and it's such a trip because anytime I do an interview or I get ready to speak, for whatever reason, subconsciously, I feel like I need to reach out to my parents. And I
Mm.
did not realize that until today. I'm like, why do I always do that? So this morning, I called my mom, I called my stepmom because she's a big part of my life. And then I text my dad. And then when I was coming back, I'm like, what the hell? Like, why do I still do that? So I realized it was validation. I was constantly looking. So I would attract these men that were needy, and they gave me that fake validation, because they were needy, and it was like, they would blow my head up and make me feel like all sorts of types of good, but it was false. It wasn't real. So when I started to realize that I validate me, I am my own
Mhm.
rescue. I don't need validation from anyone. I even sought validation from my kids, and that drained them. And I really had to do I on all the mirrors in my house I wrote "you are enough" in red lipstick. I forget who I got that from, some lady that I watched online. And I just did all this like self-work to realize that I give myself validation. I don't need it from anybody else. And I think once like the healing started to take place, it really showed. It really showed in the way I came across in the world. I was more authentic. I was like,
Mhm.
this is me. I started to shine. To have a physical beauty is one thing, but then to have that healing and that inner beauty is like a whole nother level, right?
Yeah, and that's something that can never be taken away from you, right? And that's the
Mhm.
thing, you're a part of our Superfly community, and so much of what we're doing there is like people think like we're starting a business or we're finding our purpose or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, what you're really doing is doing the inner work, because when you do the inner work and you learn you can heal yourself, you can
Yeah.
transform yourself, you have the Holy Spirit within you, like
Yes.
God is never leaving you. It's like right there with you. And if you want to access your own holiness, your own divine power within, you can. It's a choice. It's honestly, I look at it as a remembering, because I believe that we came in human form with that knowing as babies when they come in. That's why they're all lit up. That's why they're glowing. That's why they're just running around crazy, whoever they are. They're not having the like self-consciousness that we have of like, what's right, what's wrong, what are people going to think, should I do this, should I not do that, and all of the judgments and all of this that I think are put on us over the years. And the work that you're doing and that I'm doing, I feel like is so valuable, because it's helping women in particular, but people in general, remember that
Yeah.
it's still there. It's never left them, right? That greatness lives inside of you. And you may have had terrible experiences and traumatic experiences, but those are not you. That's something that happened to you. That is not a direct reflection on your greatness, your
Yeah.
worthiness. That is something that can never end. That is the true essence and being of who you are. You got me going to church up in here.
Ah! I love it. You made me think of something. My kids, they are my greatest teachers. Like, oh my God,
They sure are. Oh my God.
right, right. And I remember my middle son, Moses, he had to be like 6 or 7, and he had like one of them deja vu moments. And he stopped and he's like, Mom, what if the reason why we have these deja vu moments is because we already lived it. Like we already lived it. Like God already showed us all this. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it makes me think of what you're saying. Like everything that we need is within us. Like we have these sparks of genius and the sparks, but because it's like it's already been created. Like you said, the Holy Spirit lives within us. And from my kids, I learned that like we're always searching, we're always looking for the next webinar, we're always looking for the next coach, for the next, and it's like, although those things are great, we have everything within us. And when we start to access that stuff, it's like, man, your greatness just glows. It just shines. And it's so amazing. So yeah, you just made me think of that story that my son, and I learned that from him. Like, you're right. Like, everything we have, we already experienced it. God already gave it to us. So,
and I know you know this, and I'm going to come back to this. So I'm a sidebar on the spirituality and come back because I know you know this. I know you have all of these, spiritual gifts, but I want to come back to that in a second. But I just want to say on the kid front, like the kids are, I swear to God, again, this is my belief, but I think that we have like a sacred contract with God. Like we're coming in to, have a certain experience that we're choosing our lot in life. We're choosing our parents, and not to say like I chose to be abused or whatever, but in some ways I feel like the lessons that we're meant to learn from that is part of what we signed up for, and then the terrible people that are doing that stuff, it's, again, the way I look at it is not actually who they are. Right. And so if we can separate out the divine whole, eternal being of spirit that lives within humans, and then humans' actions and things they do, to me, that's separate. And so all of that to say that I think that I actually like the philosophy that like you choose your parents as well, and so you're like, I choose to come in, I'm going to pick this family in this space. And, it's like a deal you're making with God, of like, he's like, I need to send you back. You're like, okay, let's talk about what I'm signing up for. You come in and then you basically forget that that's what you agreed upon, and you're here, now you're lost again, and you're like, now you, honestly, I think then you have to find God or spirit or whatever it is you believe in, and you have to find that Holy Spirit inside yourself. Like that's part of the whole point, is like, we're going to throw all these life's twists and turns at you so that you can grow and evolve as a spiritual being in a human form. I know I'm getting a little all over the place, but just to say, because with my girls, I feel like they chose me, and they're here to say like, we signed up to be on this journey with you, and we're here to be a reflection to you of the reminders that you need to receive. It's like this morning on the way to taking my daughter to school, like my schedule has been, I'm really been trying to choose my words, and I know you're a mindset person. You got to choose your words. So I've been trying to say not crazy, not busy, not all over the place. I've been trying to say like, it has been so abundantly full.
Yes.
And like, just so much goodness. But all of that to say, last night when I finally got ready to go to bed, I was like, I don't feel like doing my hair, and I knew that I was going to do these conversations today. And normally I would like to have like all my hair done and everything. So this is why we got the braid. But all of that to say, I'm in the car this morning with my daughter, and I'm like, I got to get you to school. I got to get back. I at least got to do something with my hair. I got to put in a braid or something. And she's like, Mom, how about you just show up the way you are right now?
Boom.
and then she says, Mom, you coach women on just accepting themselves and loving themselves the way that they are. What kind of coach are you that you're not going to show up?
Man.
And then, I had to flip the script on her though, because I was like, you're right. And just to be clear, what I teach actually is that you can be whatever you choose to be, and you can show up however you want to show up. And there's days where you want to show up with no makeup and pajamas. That's okay. There's days you want to be super fly and have your pink blazer on and you're popping your lipstick. That's okay too. And for my conversations, I at least want to have my hair in a braid, okay? Don't judge me, young wise one.
Exactly. Going just a little bit backwards to the unsuccessful marriages. I tell people I don't like to say that I'm divorced. I've just successfully completed some relationships. So the relationship with my kids, or with my kid's father, I was with him for 13 years. And one of the main reasons I divorced him is because of my daughter. My daughter would say, she was 2 years old, and she would say, Mom, are you happy? You happy, Mom? So she would see that the unhappiness within me. And so it was definitely because of her, where I was like, I'm out. And she does the same thing to me. Like now at 11 years old, she's an empath, like a total empath. So she feels everything. And I think that I'm her teacher on how to really navigate that gift. So she feels it most deeply with me. So it's like, sometimes I'm like, Amaya, I just want to have a bad day. Like, I want to be human, and I want to, I want to have a bad day
and I don't want you to be coaching me, okay?
Right. And she's like, Mom, what would you tell your clients? What would, when I go to like speaking engagements, I don't know about you. I know you speak a lot as well, but I still have like this nervousness and this butterfly. And I feel like that's a good thing. Like, I don't want to ever lose that. Like, I know my stuff, I'm prepared, but I still have like this, and she's with me. I call her my PR person. So she's always with me when I go do my speaking, and she'll just check me like, chill, like relax. And I'm like, can I be human? Can I?
Yeah, to me, the nervousness means that it still matters to you.
Yes.
And I heard that a long time ago. And I think that what I was hearing was like, if you're not nervous anymore, it means that like you need to find your next thing, because it means like this is becoming not a challenge for you, or it doesn't feel like you're stretching yourself, or it doesn't feel like you're, like it really matters to you. And I feel like when I speak, I get nervous too. Once I start speaking, it goes away, because I feel like I'm a channel, like I'm spreading a message, like that's my intention. But ahead of time, I get a little nervous, because I just feel like this matters to me. This message matters, and I want to show up, and I want to do it justice, and I want to awaken people, and I want to activate people, and I want to do my best, And so I think that that's a great sign. I wanted to ask you about spirituality versus religion. And in your introduction, obviously you say very clearly, like, God is, the focus of your life and has been a huge part of it. And I remember when we met maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And you were, even when we first met, you were sort of at a little bit of a crossroads in your life where you're like, I was raised in the church, a fairly very religious upbringing and community, yet I'm drawn to more like sort of general spiritual concepts. I'm drawn to some of the spiritual teachers that are not necessarily Christian teachers. I'm experiencing things that, I've never heard anybody talking about at church. And so I'm trying to navigate that. And the second piece of that I just want to pull in is that, and then you joined our Superfly community. And in the Superfly program, what happens every time we offer the program is we get a big influx of new women, which is awesome. And they're super diverse. But in particular, there's a strong group of women that usually are Christian women and come from more of this traditional background. And, you could tell me better than I can say, but for whatever reason, Black Christian women love me. Okay. they're like, I don't know what it is about this woman, but she's my person. And even though I am not Christian, but I understand Christianity, and I speak the language, and I speak about God, and I speak about soulfulness in my marketing and branding and everything, and spirituality and my marketing branding. And then they come in to work with me, and they're getting thrown like all of these different spiritual concepts that my philosophy, my own belief is like, I just believe that everything is good, and that, you should take what works for you and take the pieces that matter to you and find your own belief. Whatever it is fine as long as it matters to you, because I believe that that's what you're supposed to do. So when I teach my classes, I'll be like, here's a resource. You can try this, try meditation, try EFT, try prayer, try past life regression, try da-da-da-da. And I know at least initially, a lot of the Christian women sort of go like, whoa, I don't know if this is okay. Yeah. And then I have a lot of sidebar conversations with them of like, I think you chose to work with me because you trust me. Like, there's something about me that you trust, and that I'm real, and that I'm not going to lead you down a path that would be out of integrity with your beliefs. And if you can trust that and accept that not everything I'm teaching or showing you, you need to embrace or practice for yourself, but it will open up your consciousness to, hey, this woman over here, I like her a lot, and she believes something completely different, and she likes doing this thing to talk to God that I don't do, but I can accept her and build bridges with her through our differences. So I guess that's a long about way of going to just, how about for you? Because where are you at with this? I know it's been a journey for you as well to come from that Christian background, to be interested in different spiritual teachings. And then I'm curious at where we're at in the journey now.
Yeah. So I think fundamentally we all have like core values, right? So my core values are definitely, I would say, Christian based, right? So I believe Jesus, I believe in Jesus, I believe he died for my sins. I believe that like 100% there's nothing that would sway those beliefs for me. But entering the Superfly program, and even before meeting you, there was like some stirring, you know, in my spirit and my soul of just different things. And I'm working on a book that's going to be titled Divorcing My Religion. So definitely spirituality over religion. I'm down for spirituality. Religion constricts, I believe. You know, religion keeps us in these boxes where religion is more freeing. And I believe the church as a whole is moving more towards spirituality because they're, you know, not to get too deep into it, but it's the core of religion is control. And so people now, the generations after slavery and after certain things, we're realizing that. And so people are leaving that, but we're sticking to the core beliefs. So for me, like many other Christian women entering into the Super Pie program, I was like, what in the heck? Crystals, what is that? but yet I was drawn, you know, and I believe there's a scripture that says, know the spirit by the spirit. And Celia, like, without a doubt, like, you are spirit filled. You know, you may not practice the way some of us practice, but you are spirit filled. So our spirits are connected. We're drawn to you because you are that conduit. You are that light to help us kind of, you know, awaken. Just like Jesus, you know, people thought he was all sorts of type of stuff. They didn't, you know, he wasn't following the traditions of that day. Like, and I believe that that's what I'm called to do as well. I have now in my journey, God is so dope. Like, he's so amazing the way he operates. So I have gone back to quote unquote church, you know, like organized religion, but my church is so diverse. It's so, you know, I did Agape for a little bit, and that's in Southern California, and it's like an amazing spiritual center. And I felt it, but I like my feet weren't planted, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was doing some searching. And so now I'm at a church out in San Bernardino. I'm in the Inland Empire. So it's amazing. And they get me, My pastor is like, he's all into the prophetic, and he sees angels, and he sees all this stuff that I'm like, I know I wasn't crazy, you know. So I'm able to operate in my gifts, like within the community that I feel most comfortable with, but yet not losing like who I am. Like, there's not that control. There's not, it's like, go for it, you know, do what you need to do. So
Honestly, it's that unconditional love and acceptance that in theory is what religion is supposed to provide, right? And that's what I teach. I'm like, the God I believe is an all loving, all forgiving, all, you know, you can't do wrong by God. Like you're doing wrong by yourself, you know. But like, God is still there. You think you've disconnected, but you've never disconnected. You need to just reconnect. You know, it's always there. And I think what you're saying about church is so important, because I think the church is starting to figure out, like, we're going to go out of business. Like, you know, nobody's going to come, because, you know, my kids' generation, your kids' generation, they're not as drawn to church. Like, they're not being raised the way, you know, a lot of our generation wasn't before, of like, church is a part of your identity. You go every Sunday, this, whether you like it or not, like, this is it, da, 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 da. Whereas we're raising our kids more like, what do you feel like? You know, you have a voice. What are your beliefs? And part of that has been, an interesting dynamic and struggle in my relationship with my husband, Joe, because he was raised Christian, Baptist Christian. I was raised atheist. And I found my spirituality about 10 years ago as I went through my own evolution. And now, like, I feel like I'm 100% secure and sure in my belief system. But then with our children, my daughters, who, you know, are 11 and 8 now, when Ava was born, he wanted to baptize her, and I had to push back at that time, because I felt like, you know, even though a lot of my friends are Christian, and even though I spent a lot of time in Christian churches, the challenge that I was having is I always felt really alienated. Like, I felt like, wow, this is so awesome. like, I love the music, I love the people, I love the community. And then it was like, and if you don't believe this, you need to get the hell out of here. Or you need to like come up here and, say these 4 words and now we like you. And so I had a real hard time with that. And that's why I couldn't just embrace the whole church circuit in general. And also, I'm half Jewish, and so that's a lie for me too. But this is my outsider story, right? So I've always like a little in this, a little in that, but all of that to say, when with my babies, I told Joe, like, I understand that this is really important to you, but I just, in my soul, I'm not ready to accept this, because I feel very strongly that they need to decide for themselves what they want. If they say, Mama, I'm a Christian, I want to go to this church, I want to, be born again, I am there. I will be in the front row. Hallelujah. I'm so happy for you. If you don't want to do that stuff, that's okay with me too. And it's been something that over the years, now I'm extremely spiritual. So I think we've come closer together because, like you said, the Christian values that he was raised with and what I now believe in my end practice, I think are more aligned. But there still is the push-pull, because in my own home, my husband will be like, what's that witchcraft you're doing? Or, well, you talking about you calling in the spirit. Well, don't call in the bad spirits, and, you don't want to get possessed, and, like all this kind of stuff, where I'll just be like, you're fucking crazy. Like, like, you go hang out with God and I'll hang out with God. I'll be okay. I'm not worried about my soul. Okay. My soul is perfect. But yeah, so I'm so glad to hear that you've come full circle with that, and that you found your way back home, because I think if I could find a church that was accepting of everything, I would happily go. Like, I would, because I love community, and I think everybody's striving for that, the desire to be connected in community. And we're all looking for where that can be. And I think that's part of why we have our online communities and all these different places, because we just want to be in fellowship. And if it can be around spirituality or around a shared belief system, I think that's great. But
I think, Celia, just real quick, I think people like you and I, and like people that are attracted to the Super5 program, we belong everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I'm reading Brené Brown book, Braving the Wilderness, and that is like, I'm like, yes. Like this is how I've always felt, because even in my church, like, I'm like, oh, I finally feel kind of at home, but there's still times where I don't feel like I belong. And that's almost everywhere I go, because my thought process is so different than other people. And, not trying to be mindful and not use negative terms, but it is, we think outside the box. We don't see the world like everyone else does. Right. So I think when you're this type of person, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable or feeling like you don't fit in, because a lot of times I do with my own family, especially, I'm like, I don't fit in with them, I just don't, and I've had to accept it. But I've learned to be all things to all people without losing myself, if that makes sense,
No,
so
totally.
Yes, I go with the flow, and I'm just like, okay, this is what we do. We being ratchet today. Cool. I could turn that on,
Yes, I know. But see, that's what I'm saying. I think, Lindsay Para calls us bridge walkers. And, I really believe that I believe in exactly what you're talking about in terms of I don't fit in, and yet I fit in with everybody.
Yes.
And it's like, I just walk around with an open heart and open spirit. And I believe that I'm being called to like spread love and healing and activation wherever I go. So I just talk to everybody. I hug everybody. I'm like you said, I could be at the down and dirty like party, like, hey. And the next day I'm in my little button up suit and a keynote speech, and that's part of why I wanted to have this series of Real Women, Real Conversations. I just feel like a lot of the industries and positions or brands that are coming out for women right now, I feel like are doing a disservice, because they're making it seem like everything is so perfect, so glossy, like, there's one path to success and just do it this way and all this stuff. And I feel like it's really setting us all up for failure. And it's just not real. We're so many different paths. There's so many different journeys, so many different twists and turns. And some of these tools that we're talking about so far are like these timeless things that if you know your own worth, you know your own value, you know that you know, you're guided and protected and blessed and all of that, like no matter what, then it doesn't matter whether you make 6 figures at your job or whether you meet the dream person of your life or get the perfect outfit or whatever it is. Like those are all external sources of happiness. Instead of realizing like, you know, you cannot take this from me. Like I think it's like a lot of the great people that have been imprisoned, you know, and like Nelson Mandela, you know, like they talk about like, even when you're in prison, you still have like your mind and you still have your soul. And that's what you have control over. And you can be strengthening your spirit and strengthening your wisdom and like growing yourself and evolving yourself, even if your, you know, freedom has been stripped of you. And that's a testament to, we control ourselves. That's the only thing that we control. Everything that's outside of ourselves is out of our control. And if we can just focus on ourselves and what's within and working on loving ourselves and healing ourselves and building ourselves up and living our purpose, like I just think that's why I'm so passionate about the work that you're doing and that I'm doing, because I feel like it's going to change the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So many people have told me, like, I'll get these little random inbox messages from experts in the industry that'll say, you know, when you do your posts or when you do your videos, make sure you don't say this or you know, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, you know, because, okay, you're telling me this, but first of all, I don't see you showing up. Right.
Yeah.
Second of all, and you're not showing up in your authentic self. That's what I'm thinking about these people. And second of all, that video that I said, oh, you know, whatever, where I talked about my crap and I just let it all out, I'll get 5 inbox messages from women that says, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, I wish I can say this. And I learned a long time ago, because I used to be down on myself. Like, man, Tamika, shut up. Like, why do you have such a big mouth? Why don't you just, you know, be quieter? But I learned from one of our sisters in the Super 5 program that I'm really, really close to, Lovey. She told me that I have the voice that other people don't have. So God has like kind of gifted me to be the voice. So I've learned to like, just be, say it how you're going to say it. So many people are unauthentic, you know, I don't want to call them fake, but they're unauthentic in this industry, you know, and they're here today and they're gone tomorrow. And that's one reason why I really love and I support you, Celia, because I've seen you, you know, I've seen you. You've always been the same one, you know, but I also see your growth. I see your evolution. And I see how you remain true. You know, you're not putting on anything. You're not being anything other than who you truly are. And that's who that's who I am. You know, I'm like, this is me, take it or leave it. Yes. Sometimes, what do I say? I say I'm a Christian, but I cuss a little, you know,
I know. Or like, you know, you know, in our community, everybody up in there curses a lot. So, it's all good, you know, and I love that you're saying that. And I want the people listening in or watching this to just feel that sense of liberation. And I feel like the more that you just let yourself be and just let it all hang out, the more that you're freeing yourself, because that's actually your natural greatness. Like, you know, the things that we think bother people, like, you know, that's just what we're supposed to be here to do. Now, of course, if you're like being a jerk and causing problems, I'm not talking about that, but I'm saying like, similarly to you, I have a gift of communication. I know that to be a fact. And once I owned that, now everything I do is centered around, you know, if I want to have more impact, or even if I want to grow my business, guess how I'm going to do it? I'm going to do it through more videos, more live streams, more events where I could touch people, feel people. It's not going to be through my email marketing. It's not going to be really through a webinar or, you know, like the traditional ways of promoting things. I'm going to be like, it's more grassroots. It's about me putting myself out there and just being like, you know, this is an off the cuff thought, or this is a video, or, you know, this is actually a segue to the question I want to ask you. But like that video that I did, like I would say my claim to fame viral video from about 1.5 years ago, when, you know, all of the like white supremacy and police brutality was like coming to an head. And, you know, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I had something to say. And, you know, it's like, now I'm like, I don't even know if I would do that now. But, you know, I was just so upset. And I just went on and I live streamed and, you know, just said all kinds of things. It was crying and everything. And it's like, still to this day, people contact me and will say, the way you came into my life, or the way I found you, or I still remember when I first was exposed to you, or like we had women's night out in Atlanta, and at least 3 of the women there said, the way I initially found Celia was through this video that she did about police brutality. And here she was, this white woman, you know, and I was looking at her like, what has she got to say about this? You know, and then I was glued to the screen, and you were saying things that I was thinking, and like somehow you knew how it felt for me, and you were like putting it, you were like using your position to like blast it out there, and like you didn't have to do that. And of course there were like haters and people who could be negative, or even like all of the little trolls and stuff, but like overwhelmingly there was so much support of like, thank you, like we need more people like you using your positions of privilege and you know, white privilege and stuff to speak out against racism or speak out against police brutality. So all of that to say, and I know you do it in your videos too, like just the keeping it real doesn't need to be polished. It could be 1 minute, it could be sitting in your car, it could be no makeup, it could be I'm at the soccer fields, you know, whatever. It's just like, that's what people I think are relating to so much more than like, I have the perfect set and I have the perfect outfit and the lighting is amazing and I can really relate to you. You know, it's like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Some of my, you know, viral videos are the ones that have over like 1,000 views, have been the ones where I'm just like, you feel something, like you just feel something within you. And it's usually when I'm in a place of anger. You know, I believe anger is a secondary emotion. So it's usually like I'm angry about something, but it's really me hurt, or me afraid, or me, you know, whatever these fears that these emotions that I'm feeling. And I just go for it. You know, I turn on that camera and I'm like, I know that if I'm feeling this, I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. So I have to get this out. And the tears flow and the snot may be, you know, and I feel like I'm looking a hot mess. I remember when I got the copy of the manuscript of my first book. So I'm working on book number 3 right now. And when I got the copy of my first book, I mean, I looked like I had just gotten in a fight. Like in that video, I was like, because, you know, I was like puffy and red, but so many people, because I talked about the fact, like, no matter what, man, like, yes, I've experienced racism. Yes, I'm a single mother. Yes, you know, I didn't learn how to read or write until I was in the 2nd grade. But like, I just told all my business. I put it all out there. But I'm like, but look, you know, there is like a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, there is positivity. And I believe, like, even in the state of where our world is, I get flack because I don't talk about it a lot, you know, because I feel like that's not my position. My position is to show light. My position is to show love. My position is to inspire. And because I am such an empath, I have to be extremely careful. When we had, I believe it was 2 years ago, when those 3 brothers were killed, like back to back, like every day you turned on the news or you know, I haven't watched the news in 5 years, but I get it from social media. I was literally in bed for 2 days. Like, I couldn't get up. Like, this shit makes me sick. You know, it makes me sick. And it's not that I ignore it, but I take it in as much as I can. And then I share light. You know, I share something positive. When the shooting happened in Las Vegas, you know, I was able to flip it, and I was able to talk about how important it is to love one another, how important it is to have these type of conversations. You know, we need to do this type of stuff more. We need to reach out to our support system, because we never know, you know, this world is so vulnerable right now. We're in such a vulnerable place. So I use all the hard things. You know, I have 2 Black boys, so we could talk for hours about the stories, about the things that my sons have experienced. They're 18 and 16. They're both, my oldest son is over 6 feet tall, and he's a good kid, but he's Black. You know, he's a Black boy, and we live in Southern California, where if 3 or more of his friends are together, they are thought of as a gang, you know, and that shit hurts me, because my boys are not like that. My boys can be playing football or basketball right up the street, and they experience, you know, racism. They experience people calling them the N-word. My daughter at 11 years old, and she's like an angel. Anybody that has ever met her, literally, she's like an angel. But me and her coming from the mall, and somebody called us a nigger. Like, I can't believe that those things still happen in 2017. And But instead of me going in like hating, I don't allow people to have my hate. I don't. Like, you can't have that. You can't have that part of me. I've moved past that. And yes, I'm going to be angry, but I'm also going to talk about what's really going on. What really goes on is I'm hurt. I'm hurt that in 2017, we can't see that we're all connected, that we're all brothers and sisters, and we choose, people, not we, but people choose to show hate instead of love, you know. And what is it really? It's fear. It's fear. Fear drives all this negative behavior. So I turn it, I flip it on their ass real quick. And I'm like, oh, you want to be ugly? Okay, well, watch this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I turn it into a positive.
Well, I love hearing you speak. I mean, your voice is magic. And
No.
I think that the fact that you're owning that and getting comfortable in that is so encouraging, because I think also as a society, with women in particular, we've been taught that we're supposed to be good girls and be quiet and be cute and be pretty and be nice, right? And so what we see time and time again, any woman you talk to, if you say like, have you ever felt like you speak up? You know, have you been told to keep your ideas to yourself? You know, do you feel like when you're talking, there's a part of you that's like, I've already been talking too long. Like I need to like, you know, nip it in the bud. And so the fact that you and I are examples of powerful, bold ass women that are like, I don't care. This is what's up with me. I'm going to say it. And, you know, it might, because I think similarly to me, you feel like even if just one person got the message that they need to get, it's worth it. And, you know, sometimes I'll send these emails out. I got like a bazillion people on my list, and then I'll look like, oh, like, you know, a very small amount of people open up my email. You know, I'll be like, they're really missing out. Like they should open my email, because I am not one of those people that just sends spammy emails. Like I am sending you a message. I am sending you yes, open the fucking email. But then I'll get like 4 replies, you know, and from people that did open the email and watched the video, you know, or did the training or whatever. And they'll just be like, you know, thank you so much. Like this made everything, like this made my day today, or I was feeling alone and, you know, you're right. And this is my story. And it's like just those little 2 or 3, 4 responses out of the thousands that open my email. I'm like, okay, well, it's a drop in the bucket, but it's okay, because if all I do is impact those people, then next time it'll be a few more, next time it'll be a few more. And if I just keep going, like the ripple effect will grow. And then hopefully they'll take what they got from me and they'll give it to somebody else. And
exactly.
And that way, eventually it will all make a big impact.
Exactly. That I did a post, I think on Saturday or Sunday, about that, where I said, you know, if I could just impact one. I was getting ready to go to a girls empowerment event, and I was like, man, like my everyday prayer is just one person. Let me impact one person. Because if that one person can impact 10, and then that 10 can impact 100, you know, and so forth and so on, then I've done my job. But you said something earlier about our voice, and in the girls empowerment seminar that I did, we broke down all the Disney princesses. And it's unfortunate because my daughter likes princesses. I've always liked princesses. You know, my favorite was Ariel. And I started to really, like, not to get all deep or anything, but though every single princess was taught that her voice wasn't valuable. So they were silenced, you know. Ariel freaking gave her voice away just to be with the man, you know. Sleeping Beauty was sleep, you know, with 7 dudes in the house, but she was sleep, right? You know what I mean? Cinderella had to stay quiet when she knew that that slipper belonged to her, you know. So we all, this is like the message that's constantly being told to us. And then unfortunately, when we have dope women like you that are using their voice, sometimes other women don't even know how to respond to that. So they want to open up the email, they want to reply, they want to, you know, write a message on your post, or they want to do, but they don't know how to do it. They really don't. And so I've learned just to do it, just to release whatever God has for me. And it never fails. I'll run into somebody in person and they'll be like, oh, you know, sometimes people act like I'm a superstar, and I'm like, I'm really not, but you know, I like it a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
Like, you know who I am?
Right, you know. You know, and when they do that, right, when they do that, they'll be like, oh my God, every time you post, I'm following you. And I'm like, what? But you'll never like it. You'll never like it. So I know that we're impacting way more than the 4 people that open up the email. We're impacting so many more people than we will probably ever know. And, there's people that impacted my life that have come and gone, but in times of hardship or in times of where I'm like, I feel like I can't do it, I think about that person. May not even remember their name, but I remember what they said or the smile or whatever. So we just got to keep grinding. We got to keep doing what we're doing.
That's right. And that's why keeping, your purpose and your connection to spirit front and center changes everything, because you're not doing it for the ego. It's not coming from a place of how many people open my email, or how many people commented. It's coming from a place of, I hope one person, gets what they need, knows that they're not alone, knows that they can reply to this email. Like I will write in my emails, please reply and I will personally respond to you, because I want people to know, like, I actually check my emails, that was an actual message that I wrote, this like there was some thought put behind this. It's not some machine cranking out spam to send to you. If you actually want to know me, there's ways to know me that are absolutely free, and if you need a community, we got the most amazing community. So you can come on in and hang out with us. You and I can go and go and go. So I'm going to rein us in a little bit. So I want to go to the speed round. I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And then after that, if there's anything else on your heart that you want to share, that will be your opportunity to pull the call together with that beautiful thing. I'm like, we haven't even gone in so many different directions, and this is happening on all of the calls, and so that just means there's going to be part 2 and part 3. I can see that coming, right? Or you can interview me for your series, and then go down other directions, right? Okay, here we go. So, religion or spirituality?
Definitely spirituality, 100%.
In person or online?
I am a true extrovert, so in person, I need to feel you.
Yeah, I know. When are we going to feel each other again? Wait,
I know.
We're in LA, so the Superfly retreat is coming, so maybe you'll come to that.
Yes, I saw that email.
Okay, good. But you didn't comment. Not yet, of course. Okay, speaking or writing?
I'm stronger at speaking. I am. I love, and there's something, I know you know this, there's something magical when you're in the room with the people, even online, like it's like that transference, of energy is amazing.
I agree. Yeah. I just feel like I'm like, honestly, sometimes I don't even remember what I said. I'm like a channel. It was just flowing out. Okay. Coffee, chocolate, or wine?
Coffee. I love it. I can't live without it. I'm about to go get some soon as I end this call.
Have some for me. I don't even have time to go get my own cup, but I'll live vicariously for you. Sleep or sex?
Oh, Jesus. So I have been celibate for like, it feels like some years. It's only been 5 months, but it feels like some years. So I'm going to say sex. I'm ready for it. Yeah,
you're ready for it. Have you read that book, The Wait?
I haven't, but I need. I'm gonna pick that up.
Listen, I know you listen to Oprah, so listen to her podcast, the Super Soul Conversations, I think it's called. And there's a episode with I forgot their names right now, but Devon Franklin and his wife, and
Megan Good,
and they wrote, and I was compelled. I was like, "Ooh, I don't need to wait. I'm married, but I need my girls to read this to understand the value in waiting." So I'm curious to see what you think.
Me and my guy, which things are kind of happening very quickly, we have decided to wait. So yeah,
and you're ready. So we got to see what's gonna happen there. To be continued. All right. Your guiding word of the year is
consistency. Ooh, I have really prided myself on being consistent in everything that I'm doing.
Okay. What the world needs most now is?
Man, love. I know that has to be a Beatles song, and I know everybody has probably said that, but you can't have enough love.
Yes. And the key to healing is?
Time. Time heals everything. Yes.
And let's say it's the day that you're transitioning on and your children are gathered thinking about you. What would you want them to say about your life?
I told myself I'm not going to cry, but this just really makes me cry because I live my life to inspire and not to impress. So that's what I would want on my tombstone. God, Celia, you did it.
Okay. All right. I'm excited because so far I've gotten everybody to cry. and I love a good cry. So let's let it flow. Okay. The last thing is there anything else that's on your heart that you feel like I want to make sure that I said this, or is there anything that you'd like to say as we close?
In my bio, I talk about how I've turned my trials into treasures. And I think so often as women, we wear our stuff. We wear it as like, almost like badges of honor. And I want just to encourage people to, we're going to go through stuff, but don't wear it. You don't have to, you don't have to look like what you've been through. You don't have to be a bitch. You don't have to have that bad attitude, use those things as stairs, use them, like use everything, because life didn't happen to you. It happened for you. So just know that and just go with it, soar.
Yes. Turn your test into testimony, your mess into your message.
Yes, your trials into treasures.
Yes. Boom. On that note, lots of love.
I love you, Celia. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.